Let's talk about how to run dragons in D&D. We'll be covering three main topics. First, how to roleplay dragons and understand how they think and act. Second, how to run dragons in combat. And finally, what it might look like for a civilization to coexist with dragons. As a foundation, we need to understand the difference between popular ideas of dragons and what D&D Dragons actually are. When people think about dragons, they often picture those in movies and TV shows like How to Train Your Dragon and Game of Thrones. In these portrayals, they're often depicted as more animalistic creatures that can be tamed or domesticated, like wolves into dogs. They're often shown as monsters that can't really understand complex thought, but can feel emotion and understand commands. But in D&D, dragons are much, much more than that. They were created by two ancient dragon gods that essentially makes dragons demigods. These creatures have interests, hopes, goals, and fears. Take the gold dragon, for example. These creatures are typically solitary creatures and value their privacy. The monster manual even states that the gold dragons are respected by other metallic dragons for their wisdom and fairness. Which brings to mind the image of a king ruling over other lords, in this case, other dragons. From the sneak peek of the 2024 Monster Manual, it seems they're really emphasizing that loner, hermit, history buff of the gold dragon. On the other hand, that new black dragon is a walking natural disaster that
just want to watch the world burn.
In D&D, these magnificent creatures are apex predators, not only for their immense power and strength, but for their supreme intellect that rivals the even greatest scholars. The best movie adaptation of what a D&D dragon might look like is The Hobbit. Smaug is intelligent, cunning, and can carry on a full conversation with Bilbo. When adding a dragon to your world, think of it like a character rather than a monster. Consider its goals, its thoughts, and maybe some fears as well. For example, Smaug was content with his hoard of treasure in the mountain and only left to destroy the town on the lake once he felt his gold was threatened. Once your dragon has its personality, we can finally talk about how to run dragons in combat. If you're enjoying this video so far, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. I would really appreciate it. Dragons are massive creatures with huge wings and the ability to unleash devastating breath attacks. For their combat, it can change drastically depending on where they are. For the first one, if they're inside, maybe at their treasure hoard, I would like you to think about it like this. Picture a large monster, like an earth elemental or a troll, paired with a mage. The mage will use its spells to change the environment, maybe divide the party, and create opportunities for the large brute to corner the players one-on-one. Now, if you combine the brute and the mage together, you now have your dragon. In close quarters, the dragon knows that its breath attack is a rare commodity and takes a lot of energy to recharge. Because of this, it will use its breath attack not as a finishing blow, but will use it to corner the players, maybe alter the terrain, and make it so it can get in close combat to secure a final blow with its claws or bite attack. This is much more secure for the dragon. Because of the dragon's intelligence, it will use its breath attack to make sure the players can't leave or make sure they can't join back together once separated. But if I was running a dragon encounter out in the open, it knows that is the apex predator of the sky. So it would stay airborne, flying back and forth once its breath attack recharges, releasing devastating blows. This will create a super interesting combat situation for your players, where they have to wait and hopefully they can figure out a plan to bring down the dragon before it swoops back around with a new breath attack. Once we know how to roleplay dragons and run them in combat, I would like to talk about a hypothetical that was brought up in a comment section on a previous video. What would it be like if dragons coexisted with humanoids. Now, I know what most people are thinking when I bring this up, how to train your dragons. But I think D&D Dragons are too intelligent for that. In D&D, if you're coexisting with a dragon, you must think about what type of dragon it is. Is it a chromatic or a metallic? If it's a metallic, they could have a give and take relationship. For example, a gold dragon that wants to know knowledge of an ancient ruin, but can't fit inside. So it partners up with the humanoids that can fit inside the ruins and get ancient knowledge for the gold dragon while defending their village. On the other hand, if it's a chromatic dragon, they're evil and they would most likely take advantage of the humanoids, maybe even enslave them. But you could have a civilization that outsmarts the chromatic dragon, like the dwarves in the D&D movie feed the red dragon to make it too large to fight back. And when it lays there, lazy, waiting for its food, they use its heat to light their forges. They could also chain up the dragon with large chains. I think that would be a super interesting concept. A large, menacing dragon that if the chains are broken just for a moment, will destroy the town that relies on its strength. I really like the idea of dragons and humanoids coexisting. If there is any other hypothetical D&D situations you want to talk about, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next one.